welcome to Scrolling with Ceazor. Today is July 22nd, 2026. Okay, we've got some red and green candles today. Just a little bit of a pullback on the charts from yesterday's green. ETH is still up, but it has pulled back a little bit, but it's still, everything's still kind of looking pretty good. Except hype. Hype is still continuing to go down. Now it is sitting here at a bouncing spot that it might bounce. So if you're doing perps, you might want to take that. But again, that's up to you. So you do what you got to do. That's pretty much it for the chart. Gold is up. So anyhow, yeah, that's it for today on those. Let's get into the tweets that I've selected today. It was a bit hard. I scrolled and I re-scrolled and I re-scrolled until I found a decent amount of stuff to talk about. But let's get into those. But as always, this is not financial advice. Okay, so L2B dropped this Security Councils in Practice, where they look at a lot of the L2s, such as Arbitrum, Optimism, Celo, Tycho, Scroll, and they kind of like explain, like I'd read through the article if you've got some time, but they kind of explain how like these how these L2s work in the sense of like the security councils and stuff like that, as opposed to the two big winners so far, Coinbase, Base, and Robinhood Chain, which are not running security councils, which just kind of have, you know, corporate structures behind them. So yeah, check this out. It's worth reading it. Okay, here's to talk about to kind of give a little credit where credit is due. So Arbitrum did house in London an incredible 3-day of hackathon type thing, $300,000 in prizes and grants, 140 founders across the globe, and 15 financial products out of stealth. So that's pretty cool. I like this idea. I like that, like, you know, Arbitrum is continuing to push and kind of keep the ethos alive. Like, you don't see a lot of this kind of stuff from the corp chains, but, you know, the corp chains are winning right now for some reason. Anyhow, so credit where credit's due. I'm happy to see Arbitrum is still kind of pushing this hackathon, helping builders to build and get funding for the things that they have built. Moving on, Frax Finance has retweeted Resupply. Resupply says, Resupply summer is near. So I'm not a big fan of these teaser type things, but I did see that like EtherFi had a EtherFi summer's coming, and Resupply is kind of saying Resupply summer is near. And I don't really like, because it doesn't really tell you what's going on here. But it does say here that Frax's assets are joining the campaign. So I'm assuming that maybe FRX USD will be added into this somehow. So you can kind of watch through this and figure out what this is. I haven't really looked at Resupply. I probably should. It's like a decentralized stablecoin protocol. I think I did look at it actually. I think it's using Convex and Yearn Finance's LP tokens to kind of back a stablecoin. But anyhow, I should probably look at it a little bit better. I'll open this up to look at it again. Okay, so Andre retweeted out this U.S. Securities and Exchange Commission document here. And it says, fair take, TLDR. If the vault or lending market is curated by a manager who has control, that is an enterprise off of the work of others. So vaults should give optionality, but ultimately the user should decide. Lending markets should be fully permissionless and unmanaged. So this is interesting. So I think it's pretty good. Like this kind of is pitching towards the idea that immutability is important. Otherwise, like all these curators in the space have dropped the ball quite a bit. Some of them are doing okay. A lot of them have lost a lot of people's money. And it kind of goes to show that, like, you know, this is why the SEC is so powerful, is because people don't understand what they're doing, and they give the power and the power of choice to someone else. And then that person basically rugs it and kind of messes up and just walks away from it unscathed. So yeah, so don't think permissionless lending markets exist yet, but they will very soon. Okay, so anyhow, so Andre retweeted that, and I thought it was interesting to talk about it. Okay, so the roll up has this clip of talking to this Meredith Hanneth, I guess. Yeah, Meredith Hannon. I don't know who this is, but it doesn't really matter. One of the things she says in here is tokenized stocks. Who wins is who makes it the easiest. There'll be a few big winners like traditional finance has, but those who, and I think she's talking not so much about like the easiest to tokenize your company. I think she's more talking about how to tokenize, how users can interact with this tokenization platform. So the winners are going to be the ones who make retail just need one or two clicks, and then they've got a stock, right? They can buy a tokenized stock and not even really care that they're on chain, and no seed phrases, no passwords, just use like Google Passkey and stuff like that, right? But it does make me think a little bit more about the different kinds of tokenization stocks. LexNode is very good about this, about explaining the different kinds. And I think she's not really talking about this, but it does make me think about, making a tokenized stock can be a derivative. It can be just a stock that tells the actual stock what to do. So if I trade it, then it trades around on blockchain. But then when somebody wants to redeem it, they need KYC and this kind of stuff. So these quasi tokenized stocks, and then there's just tokens, which are basically company stocks, right? So I'm hoping that like more and more people will just tokenize their business instead of stock their business and then tokenize their stocks. But I don't think that's what she's talking about. It makes me think about it like that. So Sam is dropped a little bit of a roadmap here for RiseX. RiseX is a perp trading platform on the Rise chain. I'm a big fan of Sam here and what he's built. I'm not very good at trading perps, but I do it sometimes. And right now there is a nice big points campaign there that you can kind of, if you want to trade on that, you can. So, but he says here, my main focuses are, now his roadmap is listing more RWAs, continue scaling up all of the major coins, building competitive RWA liquidity, solving spot market making, shipping spot. So I guess it's shipping spot, like so you can trade spot, and then following with a portfolio margin account. So yeah, you could check this out. I'm hopeful for these guys. I've helped them out in the past, but I'm currently kind of distanced from them right now. But I still can talk to them once in a while. So this is pretty interesting. This is kind of dropped yesterday. And this is just happens to be one that I came across my feed and who's talking about this thing. So the S&P Pantera Digital Asset Index has dropped. There's no Bitcoin in there. There's no BTC. There's just, I don't know exactly what's in it because it doesn't really say in this post here. But apparently ETH is one of the big assets inside there. And they're saying it's because like BTC and XRP, they don't have any revenue generation abilities, right? Now, ETH doesn't generate a lot of revenue in the sense of fees, right? Like that's what like last year's like meta was like the Solana boys were hating on ETH so much because it didn't generate fees, but it does generate revenue. Like you can stake it to get more ETH. You can put it to work as collateral to get more yield. You can just lend it straight up. You can deposit it into vaults. So it is a workable asset, but Bitcoin you can't. You can't do any of that stuff with Bitcoin unless you wrap it through some third party. And I don't think this fund is willing to like hold WBTC. They don't want to do that because it's like giving all their money to Justin Sun and all that kind of FUD and stuff like that. So anyhow, I find this to be interesting. It's worth mentioning. Dig deeper, find out if this is something you want to know more about. So Matt Lucas here is talking about FTM, Sonic, and how he feels about this. Okay, so back in 2020, he bought FTM from less than a penny up to 2 pennies, right? He believed in the vision. He's just talking about the idea that like these major players are gone now. So Quan Yugan, Matt Kong, Andre, all of them just kind of gone. And he's like, I don't recognize Sonic is becoming anymore, to be honest. Should I still put faith in this cycle, or is this time to finally let go? I know what he's saying. I know how he's feeling here, and I'm kind of in the same boat as him. Like, I have significant quantity of S tokens. I lost a lot of them, but I do have enough, and I have spoken a bit with the new CEO, Matt, and I think it has some legs to stand on. I'm willing to take that bet. I'm definitely not willing to sell my Sonic down here. That's for sure. Will it go to $20? I don't know. Will it go to $200? Very unlikely. But will it recover to $1, $2? This is doable, I think. He's got this Matt Visor here. You can give him a follow. And he's got his head on straight, and he's trying his best to run it as a business, as opposed to just kind of be like a socialist thing. Like, instead of trying to play Ethereum's game, he's trying to play maybe Solana's game, but not quite the same as Solana. But anyhow, let's move on. So Ombre wallet. I've got the Ombre wallet. I use it sometimes. I haven't been using it as much as I should. I'm still kind of 90% using Rabby, but I do use this Ombre wallet. But I found this to be pretty interesting. So you can kind of talk about this. It's just like a video going through, and I was like kind of looking at it and kind of watching what he was doing. And then I noticed that he's like selecting Bold as their stablecoin to play around with. And I found that to be really nice, because it kind of shows that they're plugged into the ecosystem a little bit, and they understand the ethos. Now, like they do have, the Japanese yen in there. You can see that they have, what else do they have in there? They have USDC in there. So they've got these other tokens there, but he decides to use Bold for this video. And I like that, because it's helping to support a stable coin that I believe in. I believe in the ethos of Bold, and I think that they need to get more love, and we need to support them in ways that we can. Last one today is Carlos. Carlos has this this long article here. You can go through and read his numbers and stuff like that. But generally what he's saying is that there are too many tokens, and retail participants are getting wrecked, so they're not coming back. Because forget about the idea that there's so much extraction and grifts and scams and rug pulls and stuff like that. Forget all that stuff. Let's just say all the tokens were solid. They were all safe. There weren't sniping and like insider trading and all this kind of stuff, and it was just all safe tokens. The fact that there are so many of them now, then it's really hard to choose which one's going to pump. And because you can't choose which one's going to pump, you don't make any money. And retail doesn't like to pivot every day. They don't want to be on crypto Twitter all day long, or in Telegram groups talking to people, finding out, which one are we going to manipulate up and pump, and then get the retail people to buy. They don't want to do this. They just want to buy something and then go back to work, go back to their children, go back to life, and come back in a month and see it's up significantly. They're not looking to call the tops and bottoms and all this kind of stuff. So go through his chart. He's talking about that, but he's giving a lot more data than I am. So you can kind of read through this and find out if that's interesting. So that's it for today. I hope this is interesting and useful, and thank you for listening, and goodbye.